What's going on, all you wild teenagers? Cinephellas boys back here doing another TV review. And tonight we're going to be talking about the first two seasons of Euphoria that hit HBO Max. I am Logan Myers. This is my good mate over there.
How you doing?
Good old Armando's with us tonight. Yeah, these two wild boys, huge fans of the show. We've been talking about it quite a bit on our Cinephellas podcast that we shoot bi-weekly. And we've been talking up the show, and the rest of the crew is finally getting around to it. But me and Armando have been really kind of watching it since the beginning and having a great time with it. This is a star-studded lineup based on teenagers in California, sex, drugs, crime, and everything in between. The main focal point being Zendaya playing Rue and her group of friends and all the mischief they get into.
Yeah, I thought Zendaya as a whole, she's the reason to watch the show. If you're gonna watch anything and you're like, oh, I don't think she's a good actress, you got to watch this show because I thought Rue, she's like the heart of the show. She's really the thing that really keeps the show going when sometimes certain things go on that maybe you're not as invested in. She's always like a consistent thing, and I think seeing what she's done on the show so far, she's really like shown a lot of promise. Like I can see after watching her here as Rue and seeing like how she battles her addiction and how she goes through all of her struggles. It's a really like interesting thing to see somebody, especially somebody that was like on the Disney Channel. And she's
Yeah.
just like, okay, I'm just gonna play like this drugged out teen and I'm gonna go through all these crazy events every episode. But I always feel I really like. Before this, I was not really sold on her. Like in general, I'd seen her in some things here and there, and I was like, okay, whatever. But I really think she really has given like really great performance. Like both seasons of this show, she's really stepped it up.
Yeah, and you really feel for her just
Yeah,
being a recovering drug addict and always kind of falling back into the same old drugs and trying to
yeah,
party and forget. And
yeah,
right from the get go of the show, it's very visually stimulating. It's a beautifully
yeah,
shot show.
yeah,
Just like a euphoric, atmosphere, kind of what they're
yeah,
going for, like a drug
yeah,
trip essentially throughout the
yeah,
first two seasons, and
yeah,
really introducing all of her friends. We have Jules, which is like her best friend in the show. We have Fezco,
yeah,
which is my favorite
yeah. I love
character in the
Fesco.
show.
Yeah,
Angus Cloud, man, former waiter that they found him in New York, and now look at him, he's
yeah.
a big deal now.
Mhm.
Yeah, it's just the reason I love Fesco. It feels like it's a character or person I grew up with, like going to high school. There's like
Yeah,
the stoner, like drug dealer. Growing
yeah,
up in a small town in Illinois, I felt like I knew a few of these guys, so I felt like he was really relatable. He's funny. He's very
yeah,
laid back and chill, but brings a lot to the show. Other characters in the show they introduce is Lexi, played by
yeah.
Maud Apatow, which is Judd Apatow's daughter. She's really fantastic.
Yeah, she's really good. I thought they gave her a lot to do in the second season, which I liked
Yes.
a more like we'll get into like but what I thought she like as a character like there was some things that happened like with the play, and I was like
Yeah.
okay that part was insane, but I thought like to make her like a very interesting character, give her more to do, like give her a backstory, like you did care for what she's doing. And like I'm interested in like what they do with the whole Pesco thing because they're like so different in a way, but it's like they really connect in like a way where I feel like that show like because there's so much heaviness and so much like heavy like drama, everybody's going through so much turmoil. It's like I hope that there is some when you see them, you're hoping okay maybe something good can happen on this show. There's like hope with them because it's like very lighthearted when they're together. It
Yeah.
doesn't feel so like oh my god. It doesn't feel so, like there's so much anxiety. It doesn't feel so like you feel good when you watch those scenes with them together.
Yeah, it's really opposites attract. They kind of
Yeah,
form this relationship more. I think in the second season they start
yeah,
talking at this party, and
yeah,
they really hit it off. They end up watching Stand by Me, and they just really
yeah,
connect. And you can show the opposites attract because they're completely
yeah,
opposite people. She's in high school and trying to do her thing and get out of high school, maybe move on to college, do stuff in the
hmm
plays. Where Fezco is a drug dealer, owns a gas
yeah,
station.
hmm
Complete opposites, but if you have the feelings for one another, it really works. And their relationship really does work in the show, and their arcs are pretty good.
yeah,
Other characters they introduce is Maddie, is played by Alexa Demi. She's okay. I didn't really care for her. And Kat, Barbie Ferreira was really good. Another actress is kind of a bigger actress. I guess she's been in a few HBO shows. Is Cassie Howard, played by Sydney Sweeney.
Yeah.
She's had a lot of naked scenes in this, sex scenes that she wasn't too fond of, and bringing it up with the showrunner. I'm like, all right, cut down the naked sex scenes, and they kind of cut it down more in the second season. First season, there's a lot of it.
I know. I remembered. Yeah, like that was like, if I remember when it premiered, like everybody was just talking about, there's so much dicks on this show all the time. Like the first season especially, and like I think she's a good actress. I get like they didn't. There's like a lot of new things you don't need to have them, but again, like it's like part of the tone. Like it's like, oh, we gotta make it very crazy. We gotta like it's a show that very much is like, we're trying to be provocative. We gotta go for the shock value, and I don't mind that if you do it well. I'm always entertained, like every episode, what's going on and like all the events, and like it keeps me invested in everything. And it's HBO, so I know, okay, this is gonna be like very adult. But like Cassie was one of those characters. I liked her in the first season. She and Maddie, like their relationship was fine. I'm not gonna say it was the biggest thing in the first season. Like Maddie kind of reminds me of some people I know. So I was like, okay, the stuff with Nate, I was like, okay, I don't know if I like her as a character in the first season. And she gets, I guess you can say she gets better in season 2. I find most of these people, I can separate and say, okay, this person I don't like, and this person I do like. Maddie's just fascinating to me because she reminds me of like a lot of girls I went to school with, and like people in my own life. So when I see like she just makes all these mistakes, and I was like, okay, I hope she doesn't go back to Nate and have all that drama. Like the stuff that happened with her and Cassie this season, I thought was really funny. Like when things start to get revealed, and I was like, okay, at least like it brought some tension to that relationship in a way that it was just a different thing. It didn't just repeat and do the same thing that the first season did. So that part was good. I like that, like Cassie, she's looks like the typical blonde girl like that all these shows have to have, but it's like she has so much going on because with her and Lexi, and then the stuff with the dad, it's like typical. She has to have the daddy issues, and it's like she has all these things with herself, but it's like she doesn't have like self-esteem. And like I really liked in the second season how insane she just got, because she put so much into like, I have to be with Nate, and I want to impress him, and it's like she's doing all this stuff, and it's like she was losing like who she was as a person because she was putting so much into, I have to impress him and I got to do this and that. And it's like Lexi really started noticing that, and it's like even their relationship got complicated because Cassie is so much into, I have to put myself in for him. I have to do everything so that I can make sure that he's happy and all this stuff. And I thought it was a very interesting way for her like arc to go, just because they both have trauma with what happened with the dad. Like if I remember, he died in an accident, or he left home or something like that. And I can see, I like that kind of stuff, and I do think that's a overall thing the show does very well, is show how, as a teenager, like trauma, it's like it stays with you. Like it doesn't matter how old you are, especially when you're a teenager, your emotions are like just all over the place, and you're thinking in extremes all the time. And it's like, even when those things happen, especially when you're a teenager, it's like it's even worse than it would be if it was just like regular teenager stuff going on, because everybody's like has their own grief rule with the stuff with the dad, that was like a big thing. I thought the show also did very well, where it's like it's a hard thing to really be like, tomorrow I'm gonna be okay, and I'm gonna have everything done, and I am gonna get everything accomplished, because in reality, like, people make mistakes, and I think the grief really did help. Like it's a big part of why they're in those situations, because they're trying to cope, they're trying to get through all their things in whatever way they can, and then sometimes they have to find other ways to get out of it, like whether it's like it's just, if they like, it's definitely one of those things where if everybody just communicated with each other and just talked, it would like so much wouldn't be where they were now, and I think that's why I like the stuff with Lexi. Like the last episode, it had its issues, but I did like the stuff where Lexi and like Rue, they were just talking, And that the second half of season 2, I did like that people were just talking. It wasn't as flashy. It was just a lot of, okay, let's talk about what happened, and let's just actually just sit down and have some conversations. And I also liked how it was not just, okay, it's not just even about grief. It's just like what was going on in the plot that they kind of sort of just don't really finish. It just like the last episode, like it just kind of felt like it just kind of ended, and really Rue's arc was the only one that really felt finished to me. But
Yeah.
I do think what the show does is a show that's very much about the vibes and how everything just how basically it just feels like how it would be to be a teenager. I feel if you have that mindset, like I can see why so many people on Twitter like will be so into it. And when it was on, like each week it was just like, oh, we got to see what's going to happen. Everybody had all these scenes that meant so much to them because it's a show that I do think has a lot, like not necessarily a lot to say. Well, I guess it has a lot to say, but it says it in a very particular way that I can see it's a turn off for people. But I think it's the visuals, and I think it does a lot by doing little, but the little that it does, it goes a long way, if that makes any sense.
No, it does. Yeah,
Yeah,
there's a lot of themes of trauma in the show. Every
yeah,
character's dealing with something from their past, like us,
yeah.
as humans,
Hmm.
dealing with stuff from our past, parents, family, growing up, and
Yeah.
they fill that void, and they're trying to deal with it through drugs and alcohol and partying.
Yeah.
And it's
Hmm.
tough to be a teenager now. It's completely different from when I
Yeah.
was growing up being a teenager,
Hmm.
listening to all the shitty mumbling rap now that they show in the first season that really pissed me. Really pissed me off. The second season, the music got way better, but the first season, I just could not get into it. It kind of
Yeah.
threw me out of the show. But you can see what these kids are going through. They're dealing with, they're resorting to all these bad things
Yeah.
and self-medicating and trying to
Yeah.
get through their day-to-day life. It's tough. Their world, it's all about technology and all these TikTok and all these apps and stuff. Like it's all out
Hmm.
there for the world to see. And
Right.
20 years ago, it wasn't like that. So they were going through a lot, and they really showcase that in this show. I think Zendaya is definitely the standout performance. There's a lot of great characters in the show. They all work well together. You have the cliche, sporto douchebag Nate
Yeah.
that is a
Oh,
psycho.
that was what I wanted to get out. My favorite part. It wasn't even any of the other characters. It was, I like the stuff with his dad when he went home drunk and he was just like, I'm a sexist chaser pig, and then he feet on the floor. That part just had me rolling when he was
Eric
just like,
Dane, yeah,
yeah, he was so good on it.
he's excellent in the
Yeah,
show.
he was really great.
I've seen him in a few other movies and stuff like that, but
Yeah.
he really knocks it out of the park as Cal Jacobs playing Nate
Yeah.
Jacobs' dad.
Yeah.
And what Nate went through as a kid, being with this kind of pig father,
Yeah.
gay, he's hiding a lot of stuff, had the second life. And then
Hmm.
you can see why his son and his brother are the way they are growing up with him
Yeah.
and really kind of being a closet case and hiding a lot of things from his wife
Hmm.
and family. And you can see why
Yeah.
they're all messed up. And you kind of feel
Yeah.
bad for Nate at times, but again, he's also a psychopath that really,
Yeah.
hurts innocent girls, teenagers,
Yeah.
Cassie, Maddie, and
Hmm.
everybody else. And
Yeah.
there for an episode or two, you're like, oh, okay, I feel bad for him. And then the rest of the time, you're like, nope, he's a piece of shit, and he only gets
Yeah.
worse. But
Yeah.
he's the typical bad boy, athlete,
Hmm.
works out, fucks people over. But
Yeah.
the actor Jacob Elordi, I think is how you pronounce it.
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah, I think he did a really great job as Nate. He's a guy that you love to hate.
I hear that, like, I heard some stuff like from some people online that apparently that's who he is in real life. Like, he
Really,
is Nate in real life, apparently. Yeah. So I'm
plays
like, yeah,
himself.
basically, yeah.
Yeah, I could see that. He was just recently on Ellen. I was seeing
Oh, okay.
online. He got interviewed.
Oh,
Well,
okay.
controversial, but this whole show has been controversial behind the scenes, filming long hours, having all these sex scenes that the
Yeah.
cast wasn't really into, but
Yeah.
Sam Levinson was like, no, you have to do this. And they kind of talked him down in the second season, cut out
Hmm.
a lot of the stuff, needed
I, yeah,
nudity and stuff like that.
yeah, I remember there was a thing because I noticed Kat's storyline was a lot shorter this season.
Yeah, it
Because,
was.
yeah, I heard that she got into a fight. She says it didn't happen, but then like she changed her, like apparently there was a fight between her and Sam Levinson, and that's why they like made her plot so short this season, because they had a bunch of footage or stuff that was in the script that she got into a fight with him about, and she basically walked off the set or something, So that's why like she didn't have that much to do in the second
She
season,
didn't.
allegedly. Yeah. Like
Yeah.
honestly, they could have cut her out and it kind of wouldn't have made a difference.
I thought she was really great in the first season. She had a
Yeah.
lot to do with it. In the second season, she was kind of there in the background and had a
Yeah.
boyfriend, and it was kind of just kind
Yeah.
of boring and bland compared to the
Yeah.
first season. So that makes sense that she got into it, the showrunner, and they probably cut out a lot of her story and scenes. So
Yeah.
sucks to be her, but yeah, she was definitely one of my favorite characters in the first
Yeah.
season out of the group of girls. Her and
Yeah.
Zendaya.
Yeah, because I did like how like the first season was very much about like her weight issues. And like
Yeah.
again, the self-esteem stuff. I thought the first season, I remember that being like, okay, this is I was thinking they were gonna go more into that in the second season. Then they just didn't really touch on it at all. It was like one like her literal last scene, I think, in the finale for this season was just she was just dancing in front of a computer, and then that was like her last scene on of the show. So I don't know.
A lot of the problems I had with the first season, they fixed in the second season. They cut out all this crappy music and nudity and over the top scenes, and it made more exposition. You had more dialogue, you had more
Mm-hmm.
backstories, more
Yeah.
character interactions. They
Mm-hmm.
ironed out a lot of the characters, which I really appreciated. And you see Rue's character always dealing and battling addiction, and you see it creep up in the second season. And
Mm-hmm.
like towards the middle, we were all talking about and via text, how amazing that episode was. One of the best episodes of
Yeah,
this
that episode
series.
was so good. I mean,
Blew me
that was
away.
some really intense stuff. Yeah, like her
Yeah.
just jumping all over these houses, and then that one part she goes into she steps on the grill. I mean, that was really crazy stuff.
It was intense. Like you
Yeah,
could feel for her character, like I was telling you guys, former addict myself, and that one hit a little too close to home. It felt exactly what I went through years ago,
yeah,
dealing with that and how it really turns you into a monster addiction and drugs and things
mm-hmm.
like that.
Right.
Your family, your loved ones, you turn against them because you're battling this addiction. And it really, hit close to home for me and just going through that in my life and how you overcome it. But just that episode was just beautifully shot.
Yeah,
It just there was that one particular scene in the kitchen. I think it was all one take. It was just like very intense, like in your
yeah.
face. You could feel for the family and how they're trying to help Rue get on the right path.
I was gonna ask, how did you feel about that Elliot guy, the one that was like her friend, the new guy for this
Oh yeah,
second season?
he was like he has the guitar and stuff. I didn't really
Yeah,
care for him. He was
he
kind
was
of
fine. He
he
just
was
kind of was there.
he was
Yeah,
there in the background with Jules and like they had a
yeah.
little love triangle and
Yeah, no, I was just gonna say like the whole thing with him and Jules, like that also kind of just didn't really go anywhere. Like it seemed like
right.
they were gonna set it up for like a big like tense
Mm.
thing, and then it just kind of speeded out. The only thing he did was like he did a song, and it was so funny because everybody was like just making fun of him for doing this song in the last episode. Because they were like, "Yo, that was 10 minutes we could have had on finishing the plot," and then this guy's doing a song for like 10 minutes, and people were like, "Oh well." He at the end he like has a line about, oh, I'm not finished with the song, and then everyone's like, that song sounded finished to me. And then but he was okay. I didn't mind him. I mean, I hope they give Jules more stuff to do the next season, because I feel like she didn't have a lot to do this season. Like at the beginning, yeah, because they do set up that since Rue and Jules are like the big thing, like as like the young kids say, like they're supposed to, like at least at the beginning they're supposed to be like end game. They're supposed to be like the ultimate couple, and then of course there's a lot of complicated stuff that happens. But I like Jules in the first season a lot. So I just think in a way it's just because she's a trans woman, a trans girl, like we don't really get like that kind of backstory, that kind of those kind of characters a lot on TV. So I did think that was a very refreshing thing to have. And they kind of talk about it in the second season. I thought, did you watch the special episode like in between, Logan? They
No.
did like it was like Rue had one episode and Jules had another, like individual, like during the pandemic they like did these two separate episodes. And like the Jules one was good because it was like filling up her backstory and basically kind of explaining kind of why like all the stuff that she went with her family and stuff like that. I thought the first season did that better in terms of actually making her have things to do in terms of what she was dealing with and stuff like that. So like the beginning of season 2, it did feel like she was gonna be a big important part, and then I feel like she just kind of went to the back. or something like that. Yeah.
Most of the characters did. I think out of the group of friends, a lot of them took the back seat the second season. They didn't really have
Yeah.
much to do. You saw
Yeah.
more from Cassie, obviously Zendaya, Rue,
Yeah.
but
Hmm.
Jules and the rest of them just kind of took the back seat, and they had more
Yeah.
focus on Nate and Cassie's relationship and how
Yeah.
shitty that is and how much of a
Hmm.
psychopath he is. And
Yeah.
Rue, really battling addiction and trying to be
Yeah.
sober and going to, her AA classes or whatever they are, NA, Narcotics
Yeah.
Anonymous, and
Yeah.
just dealing with all that. But again, the real MVPs for me personally, I thought were Fez and Ash, his younger brother.
Yeah. Ash was good too. Yeah.
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 Without giving too much away, the first and the last episode were my favorites because it's more focused on those two guys,
Yeah.
what they're dealing with.
I agree. Yeah. They were so good. Like Ashtray, like we didn't talk about it that much, but like he doesn't do that much, but when he's on, he's always like a very interesting character to me. Like he's always compelling to watch, even like he's there for a few minutes, and then you're like, okay, like it doesn't even have to be a whole big scene or a whole episode just of him, but he can just show up for a little bit, and then you just know, okay, something crazy is gonna happen.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's a silent little psychopath. Like he
Mhm.
doesn't talk at all. But when
Yeah.
he shows up, he's down to business. He's gonna fuck somebody up. He's gonna do something outrageous and crazy.
Mhm.
And that's his, Fez and his relationship with his brother. We saw,
Yeah.
how their stories, how they became, they're not
Yeah.
blood brothers, but how they became
Right.
family
How they
with
became
their young
family,
kids. Exactly. And I like the kid that plays Ash. He was in a show called Utopia that was on Amazon.
Yeah, I heard about that. I never watched it, but I liked him. I like him in this, so I might I'll give it a chance.
Definitely my favorite characters, and I thought they ironed them out pretty good, especially the ending, which was really surprising and over the top, and you're kind of guessing or wondering what's going to happen next, and it doesn't really. All I'll say is it doesn't end well for them, but really great stuff. Really, the great standout MVPs for me from the first two seasons for sure.
Yeah,
characters I related with.
I agree. Yeah, no, Fesco, like I think I did like him a lot in the first season too, and I hope he comes back because every season they're always like Fesco, he may not come back because the first season he was apparently Sam Levinson was going to kill him off in the first season at the end of season 1, and then it was the same thing in season 2. He was like, I'm gonna kill him off, and then they changed certain things, but he was apparently supposed to die, but. I don't know. We'll see what happens because I do like him. He's just like I think what I like about Fesco, what I love about him is he's just so like laid back. Like he's just cool. He doesn't care. Like those characters are fun to watch. Just somebody who's not trying to get in any mess. They just minding their own business. But like when things go down, and that's when like they can take care of what they need to take care of. And I thought he did it like that's why it's weird how he's like he's a drug dealer. Like you still have like everybody like really got into his character. Like he's a very endearing character because like when he does stuff, it's out of he does it because it's a genuine thing. It's not like, oh, I got to do this to get to the next thing. He's very much like the people around me that are in my circle. Like those are the people I care about, And I do think that's why I like him. But like I just think in general he's just a cool character.
Yeah, because everybody was so dramatic in the show, so much shit going on. Where you have Fez, he's just laid back stoner. He's like, whatever, man. What up, Playboy? He's just very chill. And all the world that's very chaotic. You have, a person that we can relate to, people we knew. Growing up, he's just very relatable. Loved him. Going into the show, I didn't know who this actor was, but I really felt attached to him, fell in love with this character, and I'm hoping for more from Euphoria and seeing more of what happens to Fesco and the rest of the cast.
Yeah, me too. Oh, and another thing. The thing too that really stuck with me was that play because I don't know how much it was. Who was like I don't know if El Chapo or whatever drug dealer was funding it, but like that's not like. Somebody was putting some serious money into that play because I was like, this looks like a Hollywood movie or Broadway.
Yeah, right. I'm like, my high school plays definitely weren't 2.5 million. Didn't have a $2.5 million budget to make it that, over the top and just beautifully shot. And you have all the people working behind the scenes. I'm like, no, that's not how they do it in high school. But maybe Southern California, they have a lot more money in
Yeah,
the movie
maybe.
industry, but
Yeah,
not believable. But yeah, I love that episode a lot, episode 9
yeah,
from season 2, because you get to see more of Maud Apatow's character Lexi and what
yeah,
she's made of, and
yeah.
putting together this play. And it's really a play focusing on her relationship with a lot of the characters and Rue and Cassie and Jules and everybody, and really showing how shitty they are as people. And then you had,
Hmm.
the actual people out in the crowd watching this and seeing,
Yeah.
Lexi's portrayal of their characters. And,
Hmm.
when
Yeah.
they're sitting in the crowd watching it, they're like, oh my God, we are really
Yeah.
shitty people. And the way
Yeah.
she portrayed them was great.
Yeah. I just like Maddie's like reaction when she was like, Lexi, you're a fucking G. And
Yeah.
that part was fun to me. But I also like how Lexi and Cassie's mom, she's just so excited when she's just see, oh, that guy's playing me in the play, because Kat's boyfriend was playing
Yeah.
like him, the mom, and she was just so excited. Like she made you look like a drunk in the play. She's just like, no, that's me. She was just so happy to see herself in the play.
Yeah.
Like I
That
like that.
I love that actress. She was in Waiting. She played that waitress.
Yeah, she was.
She's
Yeah.
been in a few things, comedies,
Yeah.
but she's a really good actress. I don't know her
Yeah.
name, but I thought
Alana
she did a great
Ubach.
job. There you
I
go.
think,
The
yeah.
human IMDb over here.
Yeah.
Yeah, I thought she did a great job, as the mom
Yeah.
of these two completely opposite daughters of Cassie and Lexi. Lexi more down to earth and
Yeah.
normal and real, and Cassie's just dramatic.
Yeah. Yeah. I just like Lexi in general. I thought they really did a good job, like fleshing her out a lot more, because I feel like I said about Fesco, I can like, even if there are things like we can argue like this is just entertainment. I don't like it. We're not watching this to be like, oh, this is reality. But what I think is so good sometimes about movies and TV is you can get so much out. It's always little details that really can be like, oh my god, that I can see so much into what they're trying to do with that. You can relate to it, even if it's such a minor detail. Like Lexi, on some level, I think if I had gone like a certain different way in my life, I can see me being Lexi, because she's very much like, oh, I have to do things this way and that way. Like in high school, I feel like I had a higher opinion of myself, and I thought I'm not gonna say I thought I was better than everybody, but I was very much like I had to do everything a certain way. And she's very much, you can tell she's a very type A personality type of person, like how she is with the play. Like everything has to be perfect, everything has to be this way. And then at the same time, it's like, no, I don't really have like, she felt like I'm just the outcast. Nobody really likes me as a person. Like
Yeah.
that part was sad, because it was just like, she's not a like, I can see in high schools people are stupid. They won't look at her, and we're supposed to, at least for the show, that she's ugly. And well, I'm not ugly, but at least everybody would step over her to look at Cassie, I guess. And she kind of always felt like invisible compared to her. And it was, that part did work well with like it did feel like in a way the play was her kind of being like, okay, this is how I've always felt about everything around me and all the stuff I've had to deal with. And it did feel like that part, I did feel like it did pay off very well by the end. At least we got to see more of who she was and how she has to deal with all this trauma and all this stress with everything going on around her, because she always kind of has to be the one to hold everything together, because she's kind of the quote unquote good girl, and she has to make sure that everything is okay. She's the one that doesn't cause problems, so she has to kind of keep everything bottled up. And was like, okay, I'm just gonna put all this in the play. I'm gonna literally write all the moments that I remembered happening while I was in the background. And I just thought like that the way they did the play was a really brilliant way to kind of bring things together, even if, like I said, at the end, I don't know if it totally comes together, because now they're like, we're gonna come back in like 3 or 4 years. I think 2023 or something, or it might be a year after that. I don't know, but like it still felt like, okay, after all this stuff is done, it's like where where does it go next?
Going to come back
Yeah,
in a few years because Zendaya's a
she's
huge
busy.
Hollywood A-lister now,
Yeah.
and a few movies coming out, the new Dune movie, and God knows what else coming out.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah.
she's, in all these commercials now, like Maybelline we see, and like she's a big
Yeah.
deal. I love her.
Yeah.
Remember watching her a few years ago. I didn't know who she was. Saw her in Spider-Man, Mary Jane,
Mhm.
and then seeing her blow up, get better and better. And she really grew on me, and I loved
Yeah.
her in the show. Just seeing a complete opposite character from Spider-Man, MJ, to a drug addict, Rue. And it
Mm-hmm.
blew me away. I mean, she really
Yeah.
sold this character. You really feel for her, what she's going through in her past, what she's going through now, and how she's overcoming drug addiction, getting on the right path with the right people, having all
Yeah.
their friends, kind of guide her and help her out the best they can. And her character arc was really phenomenal, and I loved what they did with it in the second season. And she's on the, the path to a better life ahead. And, like we were saying, the first season, a lot of great characters. A lot of them in the second season kind of took the back seat and more focused on a few other ones. But overall, it was a pretty damn good, first two seasons. Didn't know what to expect. Very visually stunning, beautifully shot. Some of the music is hit or miss, but you really feel what teenagers are going through now in 2022. All the world's, wrapped around technology, everything you can see is going on with these teenagers' life because they got their cell phone on them all the time. So it's very interesting to see what they did with these characters and the story. And I'm really excited to see what happens with the characters in the future in the upcoming season 3. The real MVPs, like I said, are Fezco, Rue, and I thought Ash was really great, and Lexi. And overall, had a great time with the show. Both seasons are streaming on HBO Max. I highly recommend them. So with that being said, I'm going to give Euphoria seasons 1 and 2 a 4 out of 5 Rue hair pieces.
I would give it 4.5 hair pieces.
Damn.
Yeah.
4.5?
Yeah, I think 4.5. Yeah. I'm confident about it.
Yeah, I know you were telling us about this before I started binging it. And how great of a show was.
I'm probably gonna watch it again when I get a chance.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think so. Like it's one of those shows. Like when it was on, I was on it every week. Even the first season, I was like, I gotta watch it. It's like one of those. It's like a highlight for me.
Yeah, it's not what I expected at all. I remember seeing like the trailers and stuff for Euphoria. I love HBO. HBO's been my favorite network since forever, 20 years, 20 plus years. And this is a completely different show compared to the rest.
Yeah, it is.
And HBO, but it's more focused on the younger generation, which is very cool because it'll get them interested in HBO, the classics like The Wire and Sopranos, Game of Thrones. Yeah, exactly. And all the classic shows that we grew up watching. But this is definitely aimed at a younger audience, but it was really well done. And I'm excited to see where the showrunner takes the next season coming out here in a few years. So we're interested in hearing your guys' thoughts on Euphoria. What did you like about it? What didn't you like about it? Let us know in the comments below. And don't forget to hit subscribe. Also, check out these wild boys on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram, and our website, Cinephellas.com. So that about wraps it up for this review of Euphoria seasons 1 and 2. We'll be back with the upcoming podcast, the wild Cinefellas boys, talking about everything in the entertainment business and movies and TVs and sharing our thoughts with all you guys. We also got more TV and movie reviews coming out, interviews, podcasts, and much, much more. So this is Logan Myers, my good mate Armando over there signing out. Until the next TV review. Cheers!